Everybody, welcome back to another edition of Prime Sports World. And on Fridays at Prime Sports World, we bring you the crossover. We take a look, we bring you the latest goings on in the National Basketball Association. And for this show, we're going to take a look back at the trade deadline that was 2022 because there's already been 60 returns. A lot of the trades that went down just over a month ago. The trade deadline February 14th, somewhere around there. So it's been about a month since all of those trades kind of finished, finalized. So we're going to take a look at how players have fared, how teams have fared, kind of regrade those trades. I'm with David Huffman, right there, TJ Hopkins. Look for on Facebook, Find Sports World. Pretty good place to be. We go live 5 days a week this week and the last 2 weeks, bringing the most up-to-date content. Also, want to thank our friends for their sponsorship, Find Sports World. Are your friends yourself? I'll drop the link to their website, our Facebook page, well. TJ, 2022 trade deadline was actually more interesting than I kind of had expected. And looking at it in retrospect, is it interesting? It's just,
You cut out that last part. What'd you say?
I said, looking back at it now, like in retrospect, it's pretty interesting to look back at some of the decisions that were made when it comes to
Uh,
putting trade away and kept.
yeah, I think the obviously like the big one that everybody that paid attention to was Ben Simmons and James Harden. They basically like essentially they got traded for each other, but it was all this talk about who won the trade. When you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you get James Harden, but you give up Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, and Ben Simmons, and two of those guys were very crucial to your rotation because now that we've seen you without those guys, like yeah, you're still winning games, but now you're top heavy, right? James Harden is going to give you what he gives you. Joel Embiid is an MVP candidate for a reason, but after that, the rest of those guys are hit and miss. You didn't pay Tobias Harris to be a hit and miss player,
True,
right?
100% true.
Matisse Matisse Thybulle gets more leeway for being hit or miss because he's significantly younger, and
Also, an elite
because he
defender.
and he's a great defender. Danny Green is not the defender that he used to be, but he can still be he can still be a pest in spurts. But he's also currently out right now, right? So your 1, 3, and D guy is not playing. Matisse Thybulle is not really an offensive player, but you're hoping he can turn into one without taking away from his defensive prowess. And again, I will say this till my dying breath. Tobias Harris is very lucky that all that attention went to Ben Simmons that last playoff run because he was just as bad as Ben Simmons was.
Let's get it. Let's
Right?
jump right into it. So the first trade we're going to talk about is actually that Ben Simmons trade. So in this trade, the Nets received Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. They have some sort of protections on them, and then the Sixers obviously got James Harden and Paul Millsap. Um, at the time when we graded this trade, I thought that this trade was a win-win for both teams. The Philadelphia 76ers, outside of losing tonight and losing the Heat a couple days ago, I mean, they beat the Bulls, they beat the Cavs, they beat the Knicks. They basically were undefeated up until that Heat and Nets game where they got beat down pretty hard last night. On the Brooklyn side of this, Ben Simmons is still yet to play for this team. It's not totally clear when he's going to actually play for this team. Apparently, he had a setback when he was trying to ramp
Yeah,
up to get to his basketball shape. He had a setback on his and
he
a little bit of injury. Um,
tweaked his
you
back.
know, Ben Simmons, if you're going to sit out the season and demand a trade, whenever they do trade you, just be ready to go. Like, it doesn't make any sense that he wasn't like in basketball shape if he wanted this trade so bad. It's baffling to me.
Well, it is, but it isn't because at the same time, the only way you can get in basketball shape is by playing
I
basketball.
know, but like Goran Dragic hadn't played basically the same amount of time, and when he was able to play for the Brooklyn Nets in like 3 days. Like, there's no
What was
excuse for not being. If you're
but
if you're a hard line, I'm not.
no. What, Dragic, so you mean like Dragic didn't play at all for Toronto?
I mean, he played sporadically, but I mean, he's basically
He
a non-factor on that team. He basically
but
basically
he
never
but
played.
he but he played. Ben Simmons wasn't playing at all. Like Dragic, he at least got some run. He played,
Okay, fair enough, fair
sporadic
enough.
or
But
not, he played.
he should have been ready to go. Is my point. Like he should have been like maybe it shouldn't take him a month to get into some sort of shape where he can get into the floor. When you demanded this trade all summer and like it just bothers me. Like I don't understand like how you can like I don't know.
Well, it is what it is. What like honestly, what can you do?
True.
Right?
And so look at so regrading this trade. I mean, I got. I mean, the Sixers are getting an A on this trade regrading it. Brooklyn probably an A too. I still think James Harden was unhappy there. And whenever Ben Simmons does get back on the floor, he will give them what they need: a defensive wing who can create offense when Katie's off the floor, and he could facilitate for some of those other guys. And like still a 25-point scorer. He wasn't like a scrub whenever he does
And
play.
it
Which I who knows.
and and it's what you call it. I think what Brooklyn is really not just waiting on Ben Simmons to come back, but waiting for this New York mayor to get the stick out of his ass and lift all the mandates. Like, bro, everybody else has lifted their mandates except you. You're not special. Numbers are going down according to you. So what are you waiting on? Like, it's almost like this point, like he's because remember like last year where like fans tried to like storm the Barclays trying to get Kyrie to play, like let Kyrie. It's almost like he's like holding them accountable for that, and he's like, I'm gonna drag this out as long as possible to make you suffer. That's what it feels like. And once they get that up, it's gonna like that's what they really wait on. It wouldn't be a big deal if Ben was out and Kyrie could play full time.
Yeah, true. You're not wrong. And, I mean, and Seth Curry and Andre Drummond have been good on this team. Especially Seth Curry. Andre
And
Drummond gives them a big have. They just
and you cannot tell me that, especially Seth Curry, took that like he took that personal last night. Like I saw him hit the three right before Philly Doc Rivers had to call a timeout. He hit the three in front of their bench and walked in front of they and walked like down their bench, looking at every single one of
is,
them saying
isn't
something.
Seth Curry married to Doc Rivers' daughter? Right? Is
Yes,
that a thing?
Doc Rivers.
Right?
Doc. Yes, Doc Rivers is his father-in-law. Yes, he is.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
And they took like they took that personal because all they heard was I can't wait till March 10th. Can't wait till March 10th. And March 10th came and went, and that's what happened. You lost by 29. And folks, hey, you James Harden, Philly fans, uh, James Harden. If you lose by 29, don't go out partying that night. It's not a good look. But that's
Also,
James.
I'm sure the Philadelphia fans had all sorts of booing planned for Ben Simmons. It's really hard to boo a guy when you're getting beat by 30. Like,
And he didn't play.
yeah, no, yeah,
That's what makes this even worse, right? You lost by 30, and the one guy you want to boo didn't even play. So that tells me you lost by 30 and he didn't play. What if he did? And
yeah.
that game went how it went last night. Like that was like you held Harden and Embiid to a combined 8 for 28. Embiid got like literally Embiid got 90% of his points at the free throw line. He shot 10 free throws in the first quarter. Like that is, I think he shot like what is it, 19 in the first half or something crazy like that. It was insane the amount of free throw attempts Joel Embiid got last night.
So yeah, he had 19 free throw attempts. He scored over half his points from the free throw line. James Harden, yeah, didn't have a good game. 3 of 17. I still really like this trade for both sides. I think it'll be interesting whenever Ben Simmons finally gets back on the floor, what his role will be, how he'll actually look once that actually happens. Um, as for the trade, I still think this is a win for both teams. I think this is still, when you look at it, I think this is still a team that like a trade you make
Uh,
again for either side.
yeah, it is. I mean,
And
what
I'm
you
also
call it?
I'm also I'm not gonna be like jumping off the bandwagon because of just one night. Kevin Durant shot the basketball really well last night. 10 of 17
Kevin
field.
Kevin
Like,
Durant does what Kevin Durant does.
yeah. I mean, if you're gonna play the Nets and Kevin Durant's gonna cook like this, you have to make sure that nobody else does. I mean, you can't have James Johnson go for 19 points or not 16 points. You can't have Seth Curry hit you for 24 more, and you can't have Kyrie Irving go off for 22. Like, and also you can't have Seth Curry go 10 of 14 fielding 4 from 8 pointers line. Like, you just can't have it.
And if I'm Philly, what this really like, because Kevin Durant came out and said like we wanted to run them, and they got out in transition, and they were able to do that, right? Like Joel Embiid can't hurt you on the defensive end if you beat them down the floor.
Yeah, I mean none of those. And James Harden is not. Rory is not a great defender. Tobias Harris is a complete defender either. So I mean, if you can
No,
get
they're
those
not.
guys in a transition basketball where they're scrambling to pick up
Um,
assignments, it's much easier to play defense in the half court. Like when you know where the basketball's going to go most of the time, it's much easier to play defense
it is.
as a whole.
So like this trade is not. This trade is definitely not done from being discussed. This is definitely a trade from that we'll look down the road like 2, 3, 4 years from now and really determine to see who like where everybody is at. Because if you're Philly, you put this team to get well both teams. You made this move to get better and to win the championship. You could still win the championship with your team as currently constructed. Both teams can. Uh, the
And I
issue
mean,
with
also, I
Harden,
mean, what happens if James Harden walks this summer? Like, what if this season doesn't go well in Philadelphia? Like, season doesn't end
well,
like in a first round bounce, and James Harden
well,
walks. Like,
well, what was reported when he first demanded the trade out of Houston was Philly was his like Philly was his top destination. That was like that's now coming to light. Philly was his top destination, but I think at the time Ben Simmons, Philly didn't want. They really didn't want to trade Ben Simmons then, right? Because that's the only way that trade was either. That's the only way that trade was going to go down. Then then Kyrie and KD they get to talking about adding James Harden to the mix, what it would take to get it done, and that's when what was it, like a 3-team trade.
yeah, with the Pacers involved as well.
So and then that's how that went down. So Philly was already his top priority. So if he walks out after one season, again we gonna have to start having that conversation about James Harden.
Yeah, true.
Like every time he don't get something his way, he just forces his way out.
So let's take a look at the next trade. We got the Pacers and the Kings trade. The Kings received Justin Holiday, Demonis Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and a 2027 second round pick. The Kings have received Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson. The Kings made this deal to try to push towards a playoff berth. That has not happened whatsoever. They've actually regressed in the standings since this trade. Um, Demonis Sabonis has been very good for them. So I mean, but he hasn't been nearly as good as Tyrese Halliburton has been over the last month. Basically, he's been a 20 and 10 guy, really efficient from the field and from the 3 point line. Grade this trade now, a month out.
Grading this trade a month out, yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton since the trade in the last 10 games, which is roughly what it's been. So he's shooting it 50% from the field, 40% from the 3 point line, 80% from free throw. He's averaging 18 and 10, 19 and 10 really, and then with 5 rebounds on top of that, with 2 steals.
I think if I'm Sacramento, I'm playing. If I'm Sacramento, I'm playing a long game because I know I have the better duo of the two in this trade. If I'm Sacramento, I am banking on De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis leading the way, like a full season together, leading the way to get me a playoff play-in spot. Because I'm not gonna say they're gonna be one of the top 6 teams in the NBA. Like that's just not in the West, especially in the West, just not happening. If I'm them, we said this about Sacramento for a while. You have all this young talent. Now you kind of gotta start seeing the progress. The
I mean
fact
that's why they made this trade in the first place.
that's why they made this
They
trade,
wanted to push towards the playoff berth, and
but it's not happening. I think I liken this to the year that the Bulls traded for Vooch to pair him with Zach LaVine, like to make a playoff push, and it didn't happen. Like obviously different circumstances. You know, COVID ran rampant. Like I think Zach LaVine missed like the last 2.5, 3 weeks of the season with COVID issues,
Well,
and
I also
it
think that Bulls boost trade allowed them to sign free agents and stuff. Like, who knows if we get the free agents that we got if we hadn't made that boost trade. And so
that's true.
maybe the Sacramento mindset's kind of the same. Like we have, like if we show a willingness to improve this roster as a trade, including trading young assets, including Tyrese Halliburton, who has star written all over him. Um, Maybe that's the mindset. Like, hey, if we show a willingness to put a good product on the court, maybe free agents will come here. Maybe we can get somebody who could like sign here during the offseason. Like that's what happened with the
I
Bulls. I mean, the
and
Bulls.
I go ahead, and I also think that trading Halliburton was like it was something they had to do. You had a log jam at the point, right? You got Fox, you have Halliburton, and then you drafted Davion Mitchell. So you have like you got to create minutes for somebody somewhere, right?
I wouldn't have traded
And
Tyrese Halliburton. No, but this is still an F trade for Sacramento. I trading Halliburton makes zero sense. The dude was like the guy was having his best season as a pro, and you had control over him
trading
for
like trading
control over him for
Halliburton,
5 or 6 years after this, and then trade him away. It doesn't make any sense. It's an F. It's an
trading
F.
yeah, trading Halliburton made no sense. Just like to me, drafting Davion Mitchell didn't make any sense because you forced yourself into a position that you didn't have to be in.
Yeah,
You didn't have to draft. You didn't have to draft Davion Mitchell. Like pairing Fox and Halliburton as a 1-2, that was fine. That was fine. Like trading Buddy Hield, I get that because you were talking about that for the longest to begin with,
3 years
right?
basically. Basically, since Buddy Hield got there, they were talking about trading.
And you finally did that. It just cost you, you know, Tyrese Halliburton. And Tristan Thompson was just a buyout. Like the Pacers really had no future.
I think he was just there to make the salaries work between.
Yeah, he was just there to make the salaries right. Like that's what I'm saying. He was just a buyout, you know. So he was just like the Pacers clearly had no plans for him. He was not a part of their future, which is why he's in Chicago now, and all is right in the world. So
But
yeah,
for the
I'm
Pacers, this is an A. Like
for
to
the Pacers. This is an A.
rebuild, and now you have Tyrese Halliburton. You can still get assets for Buddy Hield. You can get assets for Malcolm Brogdon. You still have oh my
Turner,
God, his name.
Turner, Turner.
Yeah, you have Turner, who's injured right now and not probably won't play again this season. But like, if you have
That,
Halliburton and Turner as your like
that's nasty. That's
two corner
nasty.
pieces going forward,
That,
like that's
that's
a pretty
nasty.
solid. And Chris
And
Duarte too has been awesome this season. He's cooled down a little bit as late, but he's still been really good this year.
and and my cousin, we have a group chat, and they were talking about the Bulls should get Miles Turner. I'm like, considering they traded Karis LeVert and Sabonis, Turner's staying where he at.
I think so. I think they're going to build around those. I think Tyrese Halliburton and Turner are as good as it gets when it comes to a 1-2. Like a young 1-2. I mean, Miles Turner is like 22, 23. Tyrese Halliburton's 22. Like those are pretty solid building blocks.
And if I'm the Pacers or Pacer fans, yeah, I have Rick Carlisle as a coach, but you have to go into next season with no expectations. Right? You cannot expect the Pacers as currently constructed to be a playing team. If they are a playing team, they're like the 10th seed. Like that's what they are. Like I don't expect a Cavalier esque run for the Pacers next season. I don't
No,
see
neither do
it.
I.
And I would love to be proven wrong. Obviously, I would love that. Like I would love to be proven wrong. That would be amazing.
I mean, if Tyrese Halliburton continues to play the way he has, I mean, that conversation may open back up at some point because, man, I'm
I
telling you, man, he's a star. He's going to be
I
a star.
I think he's a premature, like way too early candidate for most improved next season.
Yeah, I like
I'll
that.
give him
I mean,
that.
he was already if he had like the season he was having in Sacramento before they traded him was already somebody who's a candidate for that award anyways. Like that's how good he was.
Uh,
Like I don't understand Sacramento. Like we're gonna try to make the playoffs this season. Then as soon as they try to make like push towards the playoffs, they start to stink. Like they really stunk since they
Well,
made that
cause
trade.
well, and it was all good, like everybody was hyped after one game because Sabonis comes in, he gets a triple double, and they win, right? And it's all like this is what the Kings needed, this is what they needed, and yeah, you're right, this is what they needed, but at what look what it cost you. I mean, I get it. It costs talent to get talent. I understand that part wholeheartedly. But again, you put yourself in a position that you didn't have to be in by drafting Devion Mitchell and creating this log jam at the point. You did this to yourself.
They have lost. They're 8-2. They've lost 8 of the last 10 games. Their only victories come against Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
So they're 2-8 in their
Yeah,
last 10 games
yeah,
since the trade.
basically. I mean, there are a couple like there's a couple games before the trade that like outside of the top 10, but they haven't been remotely good at all. They made this trade. This is a trade like, hey, we're gonna try to make the playoffs this season. They haven't been close to it. This is an F for Sacramento. This is an A for Indiana. Like it's an A. There's nothing. There's no way it could be anything else than an A.
Well, I wish Izzy was here because he would so disagree with you on.
Yeah, I know, but the proof is in the pudding, man. Tyler Halliburton's a star. He's freaking amazing. Like
He is really good.
I almost want to get a Tyrese Halliburton jersey. That's how high I am on him right now. But he's awesome. Like he's gonna be a star. Moving on from there, we got the Mavericks and the Wizards and the Mavericks trade. The Wizards received Chris Porzingis. The Mavericks and received Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. And this is an instance where a change of scenery has done a lot of good for everybody involved in this trade. Spencer Dinwiddie was having his career low in averages basically across the board. Davis Bertans hasn't been good at all. He basically signed that contract. They both have been extremely productive in Dallas. Spencer Dinwiddie obviously way more than Davis Bertans. And Kristaps Porzingis it's only been 2 games with the Wizards, but he scored over 20 points in both of those games. And it allows him to not have to play with this pressure of being Luka's sidekick in Washington. If so,
Yeah.
reevaluating this trade, I didn't think this trade made a lot of sense when we first evaluated it. But looking
hmm
back on it now, what's your stance on it?
Looking back on it now, it's two. I'm not gonna say like the two teams are winners. I'm gonna say the two players are. Like Porzingis was unhappy in Dallas. Dinwiddie was unhappy in DC. They got moved. Now they're both happy, right? Obviously, you know how I feel about Porzingis, how he was used in Dallas with Luka. Like I shared that video with you. Like there's like a whole 5 minute video of Porzingis being wide open on pick and rolls, and Luka just deciding to go 1-on-4, 1-on-3, and force up some difficult shot. And
I
he
mean,
gets the pass.
have you ever watched? I mean, I'm sure you've watched
Oh,
Mavericks games. That's
I've
their
watched,
whole freaking offense every night.
I've watched plenty of Mavericks games, and it's like, okay, people want to point the finger at Porzingis, like you're not there. I'm like, no, Porzingis had a legitimate grade, right? You want me to do more, but in order for me to do more, guess what that has, guess what has to happen? I have to get the ball, not and not just on rebounds and putbacks. I am like when I first got drafted, y'all dubbed me the unicorn. I am 7'3". I can put the ball on the floor. I can pull up from three. I got a post game. I got a mid range game. If I'm a unicorn, treat me like a unicorn. Let me be special. I can't be special if the ball is taken out of my hands. On the flip side, Dinwiddie, right? What like Dinwiddie didn't get along with his teammates from DC. He ain't like them. They ain't like him. All right, so f you too. Then I'm out. That's how that went down. I
Spencer
think
Dinwiddie, since he joined the Mavericks, this is in 9 games, okay, which is 2 of which he started. He's shooting at 53% from the field, 45% from three. He's averaging 17, 4, and basically 2 rebounds
so.
on this team.
Obviously,
In
obviously,
Washington, he
yeah,
was averaging 12 points, and his percentages were 37% from the field, 31% from three. That is
yeah, yeah.
quite the difference in stats
That, yeah,
between.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what a new change of scenery will do for a player, ain't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because now obviously, like some of his numbers are because I think Hardaway Jr. is still out.
Correct. Correct.
So obviously,
Yeah, he hasn't played since the trade. I believe. Pretty
yeah.
sure.
So we got to see how they acclimate together. I think we're going to be looking at some kind of closing lineup with that's their primary, like those would be their primary three. Luca, Th,
Well, I actually think whichever one between Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson, whichever one has it going with a particular night, those will like they'll be interchangeable night to night.
I also think I also think this is a possible. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, I think it's a possible replacement. Because if I let Jalen Brunson walk, which is highly possible,
Well, I don't know if they'll necessarily be able to afford Jalen.
even more like okay, I got Dinwiddie. All right, so I'm not losing the production. All right, I can just slide Spencer Dinwiddie into that role. Maybe got it. I'm pretty sure Spencer Dinwiddie's okay with being a six man. Nothing wrong with being a six man. A lot of people have been six men, and that's a what you call it that
I mean, you
that's a
still six men
respectable
still get
role.
paid. I mean, whenever
Six,
Tyler Hero's going to get paid like gangbusters.
six
Whenever
yeah,
his
six men.
his off season, Tyler Hero's going to get paid.
Like six men get paid. I like that. So, but until then, I can see your point. Like whichever between the two of those have it going. Also depends on the matchup because while Jalen Brunson is a hell of a scorer, on the defensive end he's kind of a liability because of his stats, like because of his stature. But I
Yeah,
can see
he is a smaller player. I mean, 6'1".
he's small. I can see
But in
a
Brent's position, you're probably
situation.
gonna have to guard other point guards and shooting guards.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can see
know,
it,
but this Dallas Mavericks team is they've become the best defensive team in the NBA.
and I can
Shocking.
see a situation where the closing lineup is Luca, THJ, Dinwiddie, what's his name, Dwight Powell, and why is his name escaping me? His name,
Thorin Finney-Smith.
yeah, like some along the lines of that, right? Because again, like the name of the game is small ball. Like a lot of teams in the West like to go small. More teams in the West go
I mean,
small than
they have
they,
Dorian Finney-Smith listed as power forward. He's 6'7".
yeah,
So you know,
right. So like that, like that's they close. That's gonna be like they quote unquote death lineup. Looking back, like again, I'm not pointing out the two teams as winning. I'm going like player wise. Like these are two players who are not happy about their situation and they got out of them. Now they both happy. So to me, it's a trade. It's a trade for both the players. Team wise, we still gotta wait because if I'm Washington, I'm iffy on Porzingis because of his injury history and whatnot and everything. Dinwiddie, now you kind of have a rep of like you're somewhat of a disruptor. So what's gonna happen if you don't like your teammates in Dallas? Are you gonna do this again? Right? Like stigmas carry,
yeah, yeah, I agree with you.
unfortunately.
Also, the other thing on the Washington end that makes this extremely interesting is Bradley Beal. So if Bradley Beal ends up re-signing and you have Kristaps Porzingis and Bradley Beal, that's a decent one too. Well, assuming Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, obviously. But if Bradley Beal ends up resigning because of this trade, I mean, it's a win for the Wizards. I mean, not to mention, you might as well roll the dice. I mean, Bradley Beal wasn't getting along with those other two guys. Traded two bad contracts for one bad contract that expires a year earlier.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, Bradley Beal ends up resigning based on the fact that you showed a willingness to make a swing at this. Yeah, we're going to improve the roster by bringing Kristaps Porzingis. I would honestly probably shut him down for the rest of the season. I know they'd probably want to see him play, see what he looks like. So Bradley Beal's like, hey,
Porzingis.
this guy's going to be on your team. If you walk away, from whatever the max contract is, you're going to be missing out on playing with Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, as we said, the unicorn. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the basketball. Put the ball on the floor. He can play defense. Um, don't you want to play with this guy? Don't you want to stick around and see what you can do with this guy?
I mean, honestly, if I'm if I'm Bradley Beal, I've given Washington all I could give them. I at some point in time, God damn it, I want to win. I want to play meaningful basketball. Like I've been in Washington, how long? 8 years? 9?
So he was drafted in 2012. So this is 10.
10 years.
So
I've
the
played
nine. I
meaningful.
guess 9. So
9.
next season will be 10. He starts next season for 10
Yeah, okay. And I've played meaningful basketball 3 times in my
years.
career.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to play meaningful basketball. I want to like, God damn it, I want to at least have a shot at winning. Right? I gotta go on a deep playoff run at some point in my career. Hell, even Dame took the Trailblazers to a conference finals. I ain't even
That's
came
true.
close to that.
So
So
yeah,
if
so
I'm
this trade is very much still kind of a wait and see. We'll see what ends up happening with the way this ends. And if Bradley Beal ends up staying in Washington, I believe it will have a lot to do with the fact that the Wizards made this trade. And for the players themselves, I think this you were 100% spot on. To get out of the scenarios that they were in, to be somewhere new where you don't have the pressure of being the sidekick or you just have a toxic situation when it comes to Spencer Dinwiddie. This is an A+ trade for the players themselves. For the teams, I guess we'll to the final one, Trailblazers finally clean house. So the Pelican they made 2 separate
they didn't
trades.
clean house.
I mean, they did technically they traded away all their valuable assets. They didn't get a whole lot back. Pelicans, CJ McCollum received CJ McCollum, Larry Nance Jr., Tony Snell. Trailblazers, Josh Hart, Tomo Skanaransky, Nikhil Alexander Walker, who they bench traded Utah, Didi Wazda, protected 2022 first round pick, 2 seconds in a second deal that happened earlier in the week. The Clippers received Norman Powell and Robert Covington. Blazers received Eric Bledsoe. Justice Winslow, who has been decent for them since they traded for him. Keon Johnson and a 2025 second round pick. Let's talk about the Chief McCollum trade first before we go
well,
into
I
the trade.
obviously you already know how I feel about when we get to on the Trailblazers. CJ McCollum, I think this was a long time coming. It's definitely a shot in the arm. You can't be a number two forever. I think him being in New Orleans allows him the chance to be a number one. It allows him to be in a role that he has. It allows him to be in a role that he probably hasn't been in since his days in college. Right? CJ McCollum hasn't been a number one option since his days at Lehigh, and you could say, oh, he's the number one when Dame was out. Okay, yeah, Dame was out. Guess what happens when Dame came back?
I mean, yeah, I mean he was always going to be second fiddle to Damian Lillard.
He's always going to be second fiddle to Damian Lillard.
And
And
let's Steve McCollum's been awesome since he got to New Orleans. 27 points a game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. The dude is shooting at the splits of 52% from the field, 40% from the 3 point line. Like shockingly shooting only 7% from the free throw line, which is kind of strange. But I mean, he's been awesome for this team since he got there, and he basically put New Orleans back on the map here. And they played so well. There are rumors that Zion Williamson might be rejoining this team at some point this season. Does that happen if they
and
don't? Does that happen if they don't make this CJ McCollum trade? Nah.
no, and aren't they in the play-in spot? Like, aren't they in a
Yeah,
play-in spot right
yeah.
now?
They're right now. If the season were to end today, they're 2 games up, or a game and a half up on Portland. They would play the Lakers for the 9-10 matchup.
That's dope.
Yeah, they makes them
And
relevant. I mean, they were.
obviously, like you made this move for the big guy. Like you made this move to please Zion Williamson because he's already talking about he was in year 2, and his family was already talking about yeah, we're getting out of here. First chance we get, we're gone. We are contract ain't even up yet, and they're talking about yeah, we're out of here in 2 years, like in year 2, right? Zion has came out and said the reason I left, I didn't trust, like he doesn't trust David Griffin. Not a good look when your star player, the franchise, doesn't trust the guy who drafted him. David Griffin drafted Zion, not the other way around. Right? Brandon Ingram got his money. More power to him. Happy for him. Deserved it. Right?
And he's
You're
a
on.
he's a he's an extremely good player. I know he's out right now, so he's gonna miss like 7 to 10 days. But when Brandon Ingram's healthy, he's as good a scorer as we have.
And so yeah, if you're New Orleans, good. I mean, hey, Tony Snell in the wrong. He in the wrong sport. Tony Snell needs to be a track star. I get Tony Snell needs to be a. I guarantee you, he has the most games in NBA history of not a single stat recorded, and just playing 30 minutes a game. Like he just out there getting good cardio in, running around, right? Like, bro, like
Hey man,
he
he
really.
shot it like 60% for the 3 point line like one season.
That's one season.
Tell me
He
disrespect.
had. Bro, I'm being very I'm being
Oh, you
very
are. I know.
disrespectful.
Man, being disrespectful
He
is usually my thing. Come on.
he had one game, like I think, like literally, I think it was like 2 days ago. He had a game. He played 31 minutes, 0 points. I don't even think he took a shot, bro. Didn't take a shot. Didn't even take a shot. And I'm
So
like,
in the last game they played when they lost to Orlando, yeah, he played 31 minutes. He did not shoot a shot. He did not. He had 2 steals and a rebound. Somehow turned it over and he had a foul. He did not take a shot in the entire game. He played
hey,
31 minutes.
bro, I'm
Like
playing you. I'm playing you 31 minutes to just go out there and get cardio. Like, bro, like you can do that on the treadmill. You can
it's not
jog.
near,
You
it's
can
not
jog
nearly
around the neighborhood.
doing your cardio on the treadmill is not nearly as fun.
It's not, but that's not the point. I'm paying you. I'm playing you. I'm not playing you 31 minutes to go 0 for 4, 0 for 3, one rebound, one foul, one turnover, and 2 steals, bro. I'm not playing you. So if I'm Willie Green, I can play Garrett Temple and get that. Like I can play Garrett Temple and get that, bro.
At least Garrett Temple will take a shot. It might not be a good one,
That,
but he'll take it.
like I'm not playing you. Like you're my starting small forward, and you went 0 for 4, 0 for 3 in 31 minutes, and you 31 minutes you decided to take 4 shots. You were good on your 4 shots. That's it. Come on, man. Not it. So if I'm New Orleans, I'm looking at what I potentially could have, right? McCollum, solid.
Locked up.
Ingram, Ingram, solid.
Locked up.
Valanciunas, Valanciunas,
Locked up.
very solid, right? Very solid. Now, if I get Zion back and I pair him with the trio I just named, CJ, Ingram, Valanciunas, and Zion, God damn it, that's formidable.
Yeah, nice.
That's formidable.
And all those guys are locked up. I mean, McCollum's locked up for 2 more seasons. Brandon is locked up until 4 more seasons. And Devontae Graham's locked up. Jonas Smith is locked up. Um, Zion Williamson has team options for both this season and next season, where they decide to give him the max extension probably this offseason. I mean, yeah, these are guys are all locked up. They're going to be able to build this current group for a while if they want to. This is an A for me for the Pelican side of this. On the Trailblazer side of this, even though Josh Hart has been pretty good in spurts, when it comes to the Trailblazers, this is just not enough value, in my opinion, for the Trailblazers when they're going to trade away CJ McCollum. Getting a protected 2022 first round pick doesn't seem enough. And if I was, I would have shot for a little bit better than this. So this is the C. For the other trade, Clippers received Norman Powell and Robert Covington, and the Trailblazers received Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and 2025 second round pick. Take a look at Norman Powell's stats. So Norman Powell, since he's gotten there, he's scoring 18 points a game. He's got about 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and when it comes to Robert Covington, who comes off the bench for them, oh wait, my bad, wrong. Norman Powell. So on the Clippers, he's got 21 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and then when it comes to Covington, who comes off the bench for the Clippers, he's
Hmm.
averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist. Also
Mm.
shooting it at 47% from the field and 42% from the 3 point line. Covington, 45 and 36 for the Clippers. I
Yeah.
will say that Justice Winslow, as a member of the Blazers, has been fairly good. I don't know if that's because there's really nobody else on this team right now. He's averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the Clippers. This is a next year move, right? Like this is a next year move. it could potentially be a this season because you're hoping bare minimum you're hoping you getting Paul George back for the last handful of games, right? You're still in the playoff spot. If you obviously if you weren't, then it's still a next year move no matter how you look at it. You but if you weren't in the playoff mode, you shut Paul George down. You tell him and Kawhi, "Hey yo, real talk, just focus on next season." This is a next season move. This was a next season trade because next season they're going to be deep, right? Just bringing back
Well, they're
Kawhi.
probably going to lose Covington. He's a free agent at the end of this season, but everybody else is fine.
I don't think they're gonna. If I'm Steve Ballmer and if I'm Ty Lue, I'm not letting them walk. I at least see them.
Tyronn Lue on his latest status, so like I guess he made a statement yesterday. Um, Tyronn Lue on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. When they're playing, I'll let you know. Doesn't sound good. Like, yeah,
But it's also how we kind of knew this was coming, right? Like we knew we as fans like Kawhi was hurt, like he tore the ACL. All right, we knew he wasn't going to play at all this season, right? Paul George going down in the manner that he went down, like it's like some in his elbows. That's
for the UCL in his elbow. I think it's basically Tommy John. Like I think that's what you
like
care when you have Tommy John, but I don't actually know. So
so like that's so that's what you call an unfortunate injury because how often do basketball players mess up their UCL and their elbow? I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen
yeah,
more.
Tommy John is the UCL construction of your elbow. So it's exactly the same. Paul.
Like I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen more than just than what it does. You have a new arena coming in what 2024 is it? Is it
Yeah, yeah,
2024?
yeah, yep.
So if I'm Steve Ballmer, I'm trying to keep as many attractions as I can. I need asses in the seats. This is $1 billion arena I'm building. Right? I'm gonna need to put people. I got to give people a product to watch. I can't keep going to. I can't keep playing the Staples whenever I play the Lakers, and I got to have Reggie Jackson when it's supposed to be a home game for the Clippers. I got to have him try his damnedest to hype the crowd up because it's still LA is still
Laker City.
not
Yeah, even
Lakers
when
like
Lakers stink.
even when the like you see right now, even when the Lakers are trash and the Clippers are a way more watchable product, people are still gonna support the Lakers. Portland, they for sure did not get enough back in these two trades, right?
Well, this one especially. Like I don't really like Josh Hart. I like Justice Winslow is fine. Like I mean, I guess but like none of the other pieces of the trade are going to be matter. I mean, no disrespect to Eric Bledsoe or the second round pick. And Keon Johnson's still kind of we don't really know what he is. He can't even get on the
Right, we
floor right now.
don't.
So he must.
Right. We don't know what he is. I, I still think you should have traded. I mean, it's unfortunate because you put what's his name? You put Chauncey Billups in this position where like he's a rookie head coach. I don't think he. I hope he's not. Given the pink slip after this season
No, I don't. I would be shocked.
because I mean, like we've seen
The
cases.
Trailblazers aren't really that franchise that fires coaches once. I think
Yeah,
they're going to.
yeah, you're right. You're right. But again, they plateaued as a team. We know what they are,
Like
right?
they gave Terry Stotts, in your opinion, a way longer leash than he should have had. So
Yeah,
I highly doubt Chauncey Billups is going to get fired after this season. I mean, their best players played like 12 games. Like they have not had a full complement of even like close to what they thought they were going to have this year.
well,
So it'd be really unfair.
they plateau as a team, right? We
Yeah,
know what you are. You're gonna make it to the second round, depending on the matchup, and you're gonna get bounced. Second round. That's what you're a second round playoff team. That's what you are. That is the peak of your powers. Second round. That's what you
Yeah.
are. You plateaued.
So if you're going to regrade this trade, I think for the Clippers, I still think this is an A. Even if you lose Robert Covington in free agency this offseason, getting Norman Powell for was essentially nothing is an A. For the Trailblazers, this is like I can't I don't want to give it like a really like I'll go D actually. I just don't think this turn is even close
All right,
to.
yeah, because
I mean,
Silent
you
Ramsey.
basically you turned Gary Trent Jr. into this. Like it's like I don't.
Yeah,
And Robert Covington at one point cost you 2 first-round picks.
and Silent Ramsey, you bought him out, so and he's back in DC. Nikhil Alexander Walker, haven't really heard much about him since he
They
went to
immediately
Portland.
traded him to Utah for Joe Ingles. Done.
Oh, so Nikhil Alexander Walker's in Utah.
Yeah.
So and Joe Ingles literally,
Joe Ingles has already said that
I'm
he's
coming
gonna.
back to
He's
Utah.
yeah. I'm going back to Utah. He's recovering his ACL tear, but he has no intention of ever being part of this roster. Like it's like okay, that's cool. That's cool, Joe Ingles. Whatever. Josh Hart has been borderline. He's been actually pretty good. And he's locked up for 2 more seasons, so he's an interesting.
So yeah, and Eric Bledsoe. Where's Eric Bledsoe? Is he still there?
Yeah, he's still there. I think he has some sort of surgery. I don't know if he's gonna play, but
Okay. Yeah, Portland. If there was ever a tutorial to on how not to trade, this is it.
yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. So moving on from the trade deadline to the special segment we like to call Goat Talk here at Prime Sports World. DJ, lay it on me, the Goat Talk. Lay down the rules and the regulations. Let's do it, baby.
All right. So for those who are new here, Goat Talk is a segment where we highlight two players in the NBA who played in the NBA. It can be current, it can be past, it can be current or past, and it's never going to be the upper echelon, the elite of the elites. It's never going to be the Jordan, LeBrons, the Larry Birds, and KD. Like it's never going to be those because those talks are done to death, and you're so dug in with whatever side you lean on that there's no changing your mind. So we always highlight two players who never really got the admiration or respect that they properly deserved. It could be because they played in an era that was super deep. They had super deep talented players at their position, which is kind of what these two guys that we're going to talk about today fell into. They're both big men. They're both power forward slash centers. And player one, oh, and just so we're clear, David has no idea who these two players are because
I can already guess who won it.
I didn't give him any hints.
Yeah.
So put so
I think I can guess one of the players. But hit me with the stats.
player
Player one.
one, player one was drafted in 2004, first round pick, 15th overall.
Okay.
He scored 14,343 points for his career.
Give me that one.
Seven,
Give me that number one more.
14,
Okay.
14,343. That's
Okay.
15 points a game. Well, 15.7 points a game. He grabbed 7,690 rebounds for his career. That's 8.4 a game. And he blocked 1,093 shots. That's 1.2 blocks a game for his career. He was All NBA third team one time. He was the NBA All Rookie team, second team in 2005. Played from 2004 to 2018 for 5 teams. That's player one.
So
Player
he was all rookie second.
All rookie second team. Player
Right.
two. Player two was drafted in 1998.
Actually, I don't know who either of the players are.
Drafted first overall. Well, drafted first round, 25th overall. I'm sorry. Played from 98 to 2015. Well, 2014. He had an overseas stint. scored 13,237 points in his career, grabbed
How many points?
five
20.
13,237. That's basically 14 a game.
Okay.
Grabbed 5,482 rebounds for his career, 6 a game, and averaged basically 2 assists a game. He had 1649 assists for his career, and he played on one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 teams, 7 NBA teams.
Okay.
Player two. I'm gonna list some of the teams that player two played for.
Okay.
Pacers, Hawks, Warriors, Knicks, Nuggets, Magic, and he finished in Washington before going overseas.
Okay. Did he play for the
Play
player two? Play for the Suns? No, I can't.
the player two play for the Suns? No.
Okay, so looking at their resumes, I think when we're talking about go talk, without knowing who the two players are, it would if I was to put the player that I think is better all time. How many blocks does player two have?
How many blocks did player two have?
Yeah.
Let me find out.
And
It's
how many
not
teams did player how many teams did player one play on?
5. So player two was not really what you call
Okay.
a shot blocker,
I think
but
so. Looking at these numbers, looking at these stats, I would take player one as the better player all time. More points, more rebounds, fewer teams. He also made an All NBA team a couple times, and he was all rookie on the All Rookie second team.
you
He's
you might be able to guess player one if I say some things he played for. Boston, Minnesota, Utah, Charlotte.
it's Jefferson.
Al Jefferson is player one.
Okay, and so yeah, but either with that, I'm still gonna take I'm still gonna take player one as the better player all time. Um, yeah, his numbers are just better. I'm actually surprised that Al Jefferson has this many blocks. I never really considered him a big block guy either.
I didn't either. And Al Harrington is player two.
Al Harrington? I should
Yes.
have gotten that from the Washington one.
Yeah, I think so. But like again, both of these guys played in the era during the NBA where they were just it was easy to overlook them because they played in such a deep like the talent pool in their positions were just deep as hell, right? Like they was at the 12-foot section of the swimming pool. Like it was deep as hell,
Well,
right?
I also think with the Al Harrington conversation, like he actually evolved his game a little bit to kind of match the times. Like he became a much better shooter, stretch four, where he could actually step out there and shoot the three. Al Harrington never, Al Jefferson never added onto his game. He was who he was, and that's what he was going to be, and that's why
Well,
he got
Al
basically. That's why he basically got. That's why he was out of the league.
well Al Jefferson. The best thing that ever happened to Al Jefferson was that Kevin Garnett trade, right? Because trading Al Jefferson to Minnesota allowed him to be the low post threat that he grew into, right?
Yeah, and he was
Al,
awesome in Utah after that too. Like him and Paul Millsap together was special.
so Al Harrington, on the other hand, the peak of his powers came when he was a New York Knicks. 2008, that 2009 season in New York, career high 20.7 points a game, 6 boards, uh, one assist a game, a steal a game, and he played how many minutes? How many minutes? 2008, 2009. He played 33 minutes a game. No, 35 minutes a game. The problem that Al Harrington ran into was he never stayed outside of his stint in Indiana because he played there twice. Like the Pacers drafted him. let him go when they decided to, blow things up. He went to Atlanta for 2 seasons, and then he went back to Indiana. Like he never stayed in the place more than like 3 seasons. So Indiana, Atlanta for 2, back to Indiana, Golden State for 3. He was a part of the We Believe Warriors team. Like Golden State for 3 years, New York for 2 years, Denver for 2 years, Orlando for 1, Washington for 1. So Al Harrington's problem was he just couldn't stay in the team. He just couldn't stay on the team for whatever reason. I'm not going to dive into what those issues were
Yeah.
because
I
none
mean,
of
it's
my
not really,
business.
it's not really worth it.
And it's not,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's not worth
Al
it.
Harrington was a good basketball player, and he became a pretty good 3-point shooter throughout his career. He had a season in Indiana where he shot at 45% from the 3-point line. This season, yeah, well, obviously scored
So
07.
again, I think what these two guys ran into. All right, so there were so many names that you would mention before you even get to them, right? I just said it. Kevin Garnett. You had him. Carlos Boozer was an all-star power forward at the time. David West was killing shit down in New Orleans, and then later Indiana,
Indiana.
right? Chris Bosh, before he went to Miami, was a 24 and 12 guy in Toronto, right? Utah had Mehmet Okur with Carlos Boozer, right? It was big man galore
I
back
mean,
in them
Blake
days.
Griffin too. I mean, also we had
Blake Griffin,
Roy
Blake Griffin,
Hibbert, who was still serviceable as a big man during this time, at least for Al
Amari,
Jefferson. I mean, LaMarcus
Amari
Aldridge.
Stoudemire, LaMarcus Aldridge, Amari Stoudemire, both
I actually
Gasol
thought when
brothers.
you first started this that one of these guys was going to be Marcus Aldridge, and then when you said that like he only scored, he was the 15th overall pick. I was like, no, I can't.
It can't be him.
Because it wasn't Aldridge drafted in 2004?
No, and 2008.
8?
No, 2000. What? Because I think was it 2007?
He was drafted in 2006.
2006. So no.
Because I couldn't remember what year it was. I knew it was like 2004, 2005, 2006, something like that.
It was
I was like,
in
oh,
there.
because we just had that conversation in the group chat about LaMarcus Aldridge, so I thought maybe you were bringing up
No,
LaMarcus
no.
Aldridge to make me not pick him. Like put somebody like, oh yeah, you didn't pick LaMarcus Aldridge. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't.
So like these two dudes, like they ran into like there was so many names that you would list above them, and it's not even to take away from them. Like they were talented players in their own right. It was just more guys that were talented that were just better than them at the time. We literally just listed like 10 guys before you would even get to them, right?
And
So
especially like the back end. I mean, we straight up, especially when it comes to Harrington, we should have didn't even mention Tim Duncan, who was like the greatest power forward ever. It played
and
throughout
Dirk,
both, and Dirk. Yeah, we didn't mention either of those two guys. We didn't mention either of those two guys. Like Shaq was still in the league at that time. Like when Al Jefferson and these guys were still in their prime. Like
like
yeah,
although he was like although Shaq was still close, like he was closer to the end than he was the middle. And but
not
again,
98. He wasn't. I mean, come on.
well, no, not when he like actually not when he first came into the league, but like when all these guys like established themselves, like yeah, like that was tough. Like it's tough to like separate yourself and add yourself to that conversation.
I mean, Blake
Like
Griffin had a stint during this period. Kevin Love was a power forward during this era, especially with
and
the Al
he
Jefferson.
right, and he was paired with a young Al Jefferson. I mean, he was Kevin Love was young when
Yeah,
he got to Minnesota, right? So yeah, I tend to agree with you for the simple fact that Al Harrington could never stay in one place for a long period of time outside of just one team.
well,
And
the question is who would I'd rather have today? I think it's Harrington.
oh, today is Al.
Who
Yeah,
had the
yeah,
better
yeah.
career? I think it's Jefferson. But who would I
It's
rather have
Jefferson
today? I think it's Harrington.
because of his abilities. He
His
was
versatility.
his
He could have guarded like through fives. Like the guy
like
just
he
could
was
get
the
versatility.
he was the early version. Like he was the early stretch fours that was coming into the league. Like you still
Yeah,
you had some.
Antoine
You had,
Jameson. I mean, Charles
yeah, like
Lewis.
you had some in the late '90s, early 2000s, but you still like it was still a big men were still supposed to be that big men, low post to the basket, punish it down low, like Antoine Jameson, Antoine Walker, Al Harrington. They were hell. Even the PJ Brown could step out and hit a 15-foot jumper.
Yeah,
Same thing with KG. Like these were the guys that started to like, yeah, I'm a power forward, but I'm not. In a sense, I'm not a traditional power forward. I'm not going to
Rashard
just
Lewis,
bang. Right, Rashard Lewis. Yeah, forget Rashard Lewis, 6'10". Buddy is tall.
man, a nightmare, dude. Rashard Lewis is a nightmare. I
And
love
fuck
Rashard
around,
Lewis.
fuck around. He might be in one of these
Rashard
GOAT
Lewis is
talks
one of
one
my favorite
day.
players of all time. For real. Like, I love Rashard Lewis.
Yeah, fuck around. He might be in one of these GOAT talks one day. But that's all we got for the GOAT talk. Al
Yeah,
Jefferson, Al Harrington. Yeah, career wise, give me Al Jefferson to play right now. Give me prime Al Horford. I mean, Al Harrington. Yeah, I'm with that.
I tend to agree with you on that. If you guys have a different opinion, let us know down in the comments. But that's been our episode of the crossover. We're taking a look back at the 2022 NBA trade deadline. Gave some grades out post because it's been a month out. Monday, we're going to do our What's Next series, and we're going to wrap that up on Tuesday before we get into some free agency content because free agency starts in the NFL, I think, on the 14th. So it's right around the corner. So you don't want to miss that content. My name's David. Right there, TJ Hopkins. TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and we need it because it's kind of cold. Like, I
Yeah, it's
went out
awful.
there, like I said, I had some medical stuff to attend to, and I went just like this, just with the sweater on, and I was like, why did I do this to myself? I mean, I get it. I was just going from my apartment to my car, but that's still cold.
I mean, you
And
still got like the car, and it's still cold when you get in the car. Like it doesn't heat up right away. It's just, the
right,
struggle's
like
real, man. I'll see you later, buddy. You have a good weekend.
you too, brother.
Peace, man. See you on Monday.